Look at exactly where you are in your life right now. Be honest. Does it feel like you are walking through thick mud? You try to move forward. You try to start that project. You try to change your routine, but nothing happens. It feels like the world is spinning fast. Everyone else is getting rich, falling in love, or traveling, and you are just there, frozen, statuesque, stuck in the same loop day after day. And because of this, a very dangerous voice starts whispering in your ear. It tells you that you are lazy, that you are broken, that you lack discipline, that you are wasting your potential while time runs out. Listen to me very closely right now. If you stay with me until the very end of this video, I am going to prove that voice is a liar. I am going to show you that what you call being stuck is actually a necessary biological and spiritual mechanism. If you give me your attention for the next few minutes, you will never feel guilty about your lack of progress again. Instead, you will understand exactly what to do with it. Because there is a secret behind this feeling of heaviness. A secret that the Swiss psychologist Carl Jung discovered years ago. He realized that modern humans misdiagnose their own lives. We treat our soul like a machine. If a machine stops working, it's broken. You fix it or you throw it away. But you are not a machine. You are like a garden. And in a garden, winter looks like death. The trees are bare. The ground is hard. Nothing grows. But deep underground, something is happening. Something massive. You are not stuck. You are incubating. But here is the problem. Most people panic when they hit this phase. They try to force themselves to work harder. They drink more coffee. They buy more planners. They watch motivational videos screaming at them to wake up at 5 a.m. And when that doesn't work, they crash. They spiral into anxiety. They think something is wrong with their brain. But Jung saw this differently. He looked back at the ancient alchemists, people who tried to turn lead into gold. They weren't just playing with chemistry. They were mapping out how the human soul transforms. And the very first step of making gold was not shiny. It was not bright. It was dark. They called it the negredo, the blackening. Imagine a seed. If you put a seed on your desk in the sunlight, nothing happens. It stays a hard, dry little rock. For that seed to become a tree, it must be buried in the dirt. It must be in total darkness. It must feel the pressure of the soil. And then, it must break apart. Literally. The seed has to destroy itself to let the sprout come out. Right now, you feel terrible because you are in the negredo. You are in the dark room. And you are judging the darkness as a failure. But the darkness is not a failure. The darkness is the womb. You are cooking. But because nobody taught you this, you are trying to escape the oven before the cake is ready. And that is the fatal mistake that keeps people stuck for years instead of months. They try to run away from the discomfort. But the discomfort is the fuel. So, how do you know if you are just being lazy or if you are truly in this alchemical stage of incubation? There are 3 very specific signs that reveal if your soul is demanding a transformation. 3 signs that tell you, stop moving and start listening. Most people miss the second sign completely and think they are going crazy. But once you spot these signs, the guilt vanishes instantly, and you realize that this stagnation is actually the most productive thing you have done in years. So let's look at the first sign, and be careful, because it looks a lot like simple boredom. But it is dangerous if you ignore it. So, let's look at that first sign. This is the one that confuses people the most. It is the sudden loss of flavor. Think about the things you usually love. Maybe it is going to the gym. Maybe it is video games. Maybe it is your job or hanging out with your friends on Friday night. For years, these things gave you energy. They made you happy. But suddenly, overnight, they taste like ash. You go to do them, and you feel nothing. Just emptiness. Your brain starts panicking. It says, "Oh no, I am losing my passion. I am getting lazy." But Jung says no. Your energy, your libido, is not gone. It has just changed direction. Imagine a river. When the river flows out into the world, you are productive. You are building, talking, doing. But when the incubation starts, the river reverses. It starts flowing backward, inward. It flows down into the subconscious. It is taking all that energy away from your hobbies and your job because it needs that energy for the heavy construction work happening deep inside you. You are not empty. You are just busy on the inside. This leads us directly to the second sign, and this is the one that makes people think they are going crazy. It is the fog of confusion. You try to make a simple decision. What should I eat for dinner? What is my 5-year plan? And you have no idea. Your mind is blank. It feels like there is a thick fog covering your brain. In our society, we are obsessed with clarity. We want to know exactly where we are going. But in alchemy, in the Negrito, clarity is the enemy. If the caterpillar kept its shape, it could never become a butterfly. It has to turn into soup, literally. Inside the cocoon, the caterpillar dissolves into a genetic goo. It has no structure. It has no plan. If you ask that goo, "What are you?" it couldn't answer. Right now, you are the goo. The fog is there to stop you from running back to your old life. It blinds you on purpose, so you have to sit still. And then comes the third sign, the heavy dreams. Or if you don't remember your dreams, it appears as weird emotional spikes. You might find yourself crying for no reason while washing the dishes, or feeling a sudden rage while waiting in traffic. This is the pressure cooker. The lid is on tight, and the heat is rising. If you have these 3 signs, nothing tastes good, your brain is foggy, and your emotions are unpredictable. Congratulations. You are not broken. You have entered the laboratory. But now comes the dangerous part, the part where 90% of people fail. Because once you realize you are in the dark, you have 2 choices. One leads to rebirth. The other leads to what Jung called rotting. There's a very thin line between incubating and just decomposing. And if you cross that line, you can stay stuck in this darkness for 10 years. I don't want that for you. So, how do we make sure you are ripening and not rotting? You need to learn the art of active waiting. What is the difference between a bottle of fine wine aging in a cellar and a bottle of milk left on the counter? Time passes for both of them. They both sit still. But one becomes valuable, and the other becomes poison. The difference is the container. In psychological terms, holding the tension. When you are in this phase of stagnation, your instinct is to numb the pain. You feel the emptiness, so you scroll on your phone for 6 hours. You feel the anxiety, so you drink or you eat junk food or you binge watch TV shows you don't even like. That is leaking the energy. That is the milk on the counter. You are letting the pressure escape. If you do this, the transformation stops. You are just killing time. And that is why you feel guilty. Because deep down, you know you are avoiding the work. Jung suggested something radically different. He called it active imagination. But let's keep it simple. Let's call it sitting with the dragon. When the feeling of "I am stuck" comes up, do not pick up your phone. Do not call a friend to complain. Sit down, stare at the wall, and say to yourself, "Okay, I feel stuck. I feel heavy, and I am going to let myself feel this completely." It sounds like torture, but something magical happens. When you stop running from the monster changes. You start to hear what the stagnation is trying to tell you. Maybe you are stuck because your old job is actually killing your soul and your body went on strike to save you. Maybe you are stuck because you are trying to be the person your parents wanted, not who you are. The stagnation is actually a protest. It is a strike. Your soul is refusing to work under the old conditions, and it will not start working again until you sign a new contract. This phase is not about forcing yourself to hustle. It is about negotiation. You have to ask yourself, what part of me needs to die so that the rest of me can live? That is the price of admission. This is why it hurts. You are grieving your old self. But if you can hold this tension, if you can wake up, do your bare minimum, and spend the rest of the time listening to the silence without numbing it, then the shift happens. It doesn't happen with a bang. It happens like the sunrise. Slowly, the color starts to change. And this brings us to the final stage. The albedo, the whitening. The moment the fog lifts. But you need to be very careful here, because when the energy comes back, it will not feel like it did before. And if you try to use it the old way, you will lose it all over again. Here is what the new you is going to look like. One morning, you will wake up, and the air will feel lighter. You will look at a project or a book or an idea, and you will feel a little spark. Not a bonfire, just a spark. The heaviness in your chest will be gone. This is the albedo, the dawn. The incubation is over. The seed has cracked open. But listen to me, because this is where most people ruin the process. They feel this new energy, and they get excited. They scream, "I'm back, baby!" And they try to jump right back into their old routine at 100 miles per hour. They try to run the marathon immediately. Do not do that. You are a newborn. Your skin is fresh. Your eyes are sensitive. If you expose yourself to the harsh noise and stress of your old life immediately, you will get crushed. You have to protect the spark. The person who comes out of the incubation is not the same person who went in. Your values have changed. Maybe you don't care about money as much as you thought. Maybe you don't want to impress those people anymore. You need to move slowly. Test your new legs. Do small things. Write 1 page. Run 1 mile. Clean 1 room. Respect the rhythm of your new energy. You will notice that your motivation is different now. Before, you were driven by fear or ambition. I have to do this or I will fail. Now you are driven by something deeper. A quiet pull. I am doing this because it is who I am. That is the gold the alchemists were talking about. Real gold doesn't rust. It doesn't corrode. And motivation that comes from your true self doesn't burn out. So, if you are in the mud right now, stop thrashing. Stop apologizing. Let the winter do its work. Trust that your soul knows exactly what it is doing. You are building the foundation for the next 10 years of your life. Don't rush the foundation. However, once you start feeling that energy return, there is a specific trap that catches high performers. It is a mental block that disguises itself as perfectionism. but it is actually a fear of being seen. And if you don't spot it, you will go straight back into the dark room. You need to know how to bypass this block instantly, which is exactly what I break down in this video right here.